Oh, great. You finally decided to join this call. Sure, you could say being 2 minutes early is early, but being 2 minutes early might as well qualify you for being late. Well, before we get started on the actual interview portion of this interview, it is mandatory and crucial for me to ask who pointed you to us, who introduced you to us. Word of mouth. Well, in that case, could you please tell me a little bit about who this little gossipy person was to have, spilled the beans about our secret exclusive book club? Oh, I see. Fair enough. She was on our watch list anyway. But lucky for you, we are looking at 2 to 3 vacancies. Some of our, precious sisters, club members, have decided to move out of state, for various reasons. So we have some openings. So before we continue, there's a lot of housekeeping to do, you see. I would just like you to know that the form that you signed on your application, if you didn't read through the application properly, it does include an NDA, so a non disclosure agreement, meaning to say that you're not allowed to talk about any of this, kind of like the Fight Club. Yeah. So I have her application opened up right in front of me. I've looked through everything there is to look through. It seems like you have a fairly decent amount of, you know, accolades and stuff. It seems like you are a well-rounded individual. Oh, the sirens. But yes, it seems like you're quite well read. Um, you understood some cultural references, literary references, which is the only reason why you have obtained yourself an interview with me today. Otherwise, we would have just sent you on your merry way. Yes. So pat yourself on the back for that, even if you don't go through this round with me. But yes, our exclusive a little book club. Honestly, calling it the book club makes it sound kind of juvenile, but it's really a society. Yes, it is a way of life, even. Indeed. No, we read a lot of self-help books. So this one is the one that we're currently working on. It's like kind of Japanese. So yeah, we try to be like very diverse with the books we read as well. But that's besides the point, because I'm not supposed to tell you what we're reading currently, because the reason why we are so exclusive is because we are known to be able to predict trends, literary trends. So, by the time that a popular book or medium or whatever comes out, we would have already known all about it. We predicted the success of the Twilight series way before there was even any discussions of making it a film. Indeed, before it hit any charts. That was a long time ago, though, but that was just some of our gloried past, stories from our gloried past. So, we also sometimes get very exclusive content from various indie or international best-selling authors. We have a lot of connections to the literary world, and we have been identified by many publishing houses and agents as key opinion leaders, each one of us in our own right. Yes, for example, our president, she is a high school principal for an elite international school. Indeed. So a lot of book sales come from that. Yes, because she is also influential online in the education sphere. So whatever she says goes. So oftentimes she'll recommend books to parents who will buy them immediately. Yes, especially books relating to education, I suppose. But we do read a wide variety of books. We love the idea of just reading everything. And most book clubs meet up once a month, but we meet up once a week. So you will have to be a verified speed reader. Yes. So speaking of that, I did ask you to read a book and tell me about it, didn't I? I sure did. So, remind me again, what was the book I picked out for you? Okay, and you got a copy of it? An e-copy. Good for you. I personally like to read paperback, but it's alright if, you weren't able to do that. Oh, yes, of course. We also have connections with local booksellers who supply us with books, so no worries. Mm. Mm. Interesting. Hold on just a moment. I didn't bring my notebook out because I wasn't sure if it would be worthwhile taking notes, but it seems that you have quite some interesting points, but I won't write in the notebook. My notebook's very, very precious to me. I'll just write on some paper on top of the notebook. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I like that phrase. Themes. So, all in all, you only have positive things to say? Well, see, as much as we love praising the books that we read because we like to think that we only pick out good books, it is very, very, very important and crucial for us to also point out the negatives of each book. Because if you don't have one single thing to comment or criticize about a book, it means that you haven't read it closely enough. Oh, you do have some critiques. Interesting. Go on. Yes. Oh, oops. Okay, go on. Okay. I'll stop you there. So it seems that the things that you read into typically are the general broad ideas and themes. Are you not so much as of a detail-oriented person? Do you not quite care about the fine print? I see. So it would take quite an elaborate, quite intricate and deliberate writing for you to be able to, for it to be memorable. Okay, sure, we can say that. Well, I myself enjoy reading into the details. I think that details make the book. Oh, well, yes, of course, I care about the big plot as well, but I find that anyone can come up with an interesting plot, really. It is in the details that lead up to the plot that make it interesting. And of course, all the foreshadowing and the devices and everything works together to create a wonderful story. Okay. I also asked you for a list of books that you've read in the past month. Have you prepared that for me? Okay, go ahead. Tell me more. Sure. Yes, I have heard of that one. Okay. Okay, that's enough. I can kind of get a sense of what you read. That's good that you read such a wide variety of books. Now, can you please tell me about the previous book clubs that you have been in? Okay, and that was back in schoolyard days. Sure. Okay, interesting. Sure. All right. How fascinating. And that was after you had your children. Tell me a bit about your children. What ages are they? And remind me of your occupation again. And not to sound as though I am shaming you, but do you spend much time with your children? And do your children read? What sort of books? Oh, don't mind me, I'm just making some notes, sending it over to some of our key decision makers. Fascinating. Fascinating indeed. So, let me just make a note to myself. Things that I personally find were interesting from your application or this interview. So, are you available to meet frequently, randomly, out of nowhere, out of the blue? You're a scheduled person, no? Great answer. That was a trick question. Interesting. And are you good at keeping secrets? Yeah, sure. Hope you are. Uh-huh. Interesting. No, I'm just running through some things in my head. Pros and cons and whatnot. Okay. And, are you technologically savvy? I see that you have logged into the Zoom meeting with ease, even though there was a password and everything, and you had to log into your account. So I would assume that you have at least a little bit of basic information when it comes to, you know, the social mediums, the social media. Sorry, I apologize for my grammar. Really, really. A booktube. I see. That would be interesting. I would have to check with our higher ups to see whether or not you would still be allowed to operate your book related social media. Perhaps it would be the case of you're not allowed to talk about the books that we read, in case someone just figures it out. Yeah, we really have to be quite exclusive. We have a lot of alumni, if you will, as well. People of all walks of life. Some of our sisters, have left the book club because of time constraints, and some of them have gone on to become best-selling authors, that is. Some of them have gone on to judge literary awards all across the globe, really. So, you can see it is very prestigious and exclusive. Yes. Well, anyways, we will figure that out. But for now, I would just like to let you know that I do have quite a good feeling about you. Indeed, you've had some very fascinating arguments, and at risk of playing into into identity politics, you um you seem to bring quite a diverse identity or a diverse perspective to our little community. So on that front, I think you would be a fantastic addition. Yes, of course. But before we continue, since we mentioned identity politics and whatnot, do you have any sort of genre of books or topics of books that you just cannot stomach? Are there any books that you just will not touch? You're always open to exploration? Well, yes, we sometimes do read quite controversial stories, but we do criticize it thoroughly. Mm. Yes, 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 indeed. Oh, what was that? Networking? Well, of course, networking is a crucial part of this book club, my love. No, no, it is not off limits. We just ask that you don't talk about that stuff during our official meeting, but before and after, you can do whatever you like. Of course. We also have potlucks, banquets, things like that outside of our book club's sessions, but we do market those as just, girls having a fun night out. Mm, indeed. Great questions. We love excellent questions here in this book club. There are some questions, believe it or not. I'm sure you understand. Okay, what was I saying? Ah, yes, I think you would make quite a fascinating addition. So, since that is where I'm at, I would love to talk to you a little bit more about what we do. So, during the pandemic, we were meeting on Zoom. But now that the world has opened back up, we are having our meetings at the country club. Yes. So, I'm telling you this, but I'm not going to specify which country club and in what room, of course. But I would just like to give you a little bit of an idea about what we do. We show up. Our president and our leader of the week, we are in rotation, opens by giving a short sort of monologue, if you will, about what they feel about this book, some key points, key takeaways, and then we start talking. We bring up various points, and we do it in a very civil way. I am usually there as the secretary of sorts. I try to make sure that everything flows smoothly. I also take attendance. Now, attendance. If you don't make it to our book club 3 times in a row or 5 times in 1 year, you will have to leave the group. We will simply cut you off. And we change our locations quite often. Right now we're at a country club, but not always. Sometimes we're at someone's house. Sometimes we book out in a very exclusive lounge. It really depends. But if you are going on vacation, see, we are the second home to many, many rich and well-known women. If you have a trip coming up, we would just like for you to submit a formal request and for you to continue reading our books. Yes, you would have a lot of catching up to do. It is great for us to always just be on the same page. So if you are accepted, I will also be sending you a list of books from the past month. If I have access copies of the books, I will be sending it to you. So that's just 4 books, or any other, magnum opuses that we just believe are integral for you to read. I would be shipping you a box of those and asking that you read it before you come to our meetings, because we often do comparisons, you see. Of course, I'm very pleased that you said that. So far, you truly are going beyond my expectations. Not to be offensive, but I I did make some assumptions based on your educational background. Apologies, but also, what's a girl to do? So it is such a lovely, uh, such a lovely surprise. Indeed. Yes, yes. Well, I'm just making some further notes. Okay, well, it seems like I have gathered as much information as I would need from you. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk to the other ladies about you and your the results of this interview will arrive in about 2 to 3 weeks. Yes, it takes quite a long time because we vet our applicants quite thoroughly. Yes, we don't want to be associated with any overly controversial figures. We don't want to have to accept someone and then realize they were just a mole. We've had journalists trying to join us. Oh, yes. And yeah, we will be doing a thorough background check. And I hope it's okay if we have someone tell you. You would expect nothing less. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. Or thank you for having such great responses today. I can tell already that you're going to make a wonderful addition if we are to go through with this. Indeed. I would shake your hand right now if we were in person. And I don't shake just anybody's hand. Right, well, I will end the meeting here. Please have a pleasant rest of your week. I'll see you then.